Hey everybody, today we are looking at Galatians chapter 5 and chapter 6. These are some really incredible chapters in the Bible, and there's actually so much content that we could spend hours just studying, meditating on, reflecting on, such as when Paul uses probably some of the most strong language you'll see in the whole Bible, where he tells a group of people who are demanding that Christians follow the Jewish circumcision laws. He tells them to go emasculate themselves. That's pretty heavy. We see the Paul instructions to live by the fruit of the Spirit, which we have and can talk about for hours, because that's just a beautiful picture of what it means to respond to the love of God and display the characteristics of God in our own life. But today I actually just want to focus on two simple verses that came up, that brought up some memories for me as I was reading. When I was started going to youth group, I was in year 7. I was 13 years old. And we had these two older gentlemen who served as our worship leaders. And they used to sing this song that is still in my head. I've never heard it anywhere else, so I don't know if it was a popular Christian song or maybe it was one that they wrote. But we used to sing it all the time. And it goes like this. Don't grow weary in doing well. Don't surrender in the fight. Keep on storming the gates of hell. Keep on doing what you know is right. And it goes on. But even today, almost 30 years later, after hearing that song and probably singing it quite a few times in those early teen years of mine, I still remember it. As I said, I haven't heard it anywhere else. And these verses, that song comes from Galatians chapter 6, verses 9 and 10, where Paul says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of God." The reason why this popped up for me is not just because of this song, even though that was a big part of it, just I remembered the song, but I think it's really relevant today. Many of us have COVID fatigue. We've talked about this many times in our sermons and in conversations with one another. But man, it's been a weary 18 months or so. It's been tiring. It's been exhausting. And many of us feel stressed and anxious and worried. Even with restrictions lifting, there's still a sense of great uncertainty in just this deep inner weariness. We're longing for rest. We're longing to be able to go away and recover. And I think what is happening in this church is something similar. This church has undergone some persecution. And as we'll see later on in the biblical text, that Christians, they continue to face persecution in those early years, and rejection and shame and ostracism and all of those things. And so this church is also going through this period of just intense scrutiny and persecution. And Paul wants to remind them, don't grow weary in doing good. Don't grow weary in doing good, because we know that it's worth it. We will reap a harvest at the proper time if we keep going. So to these tired Christians, he says, I understand that you're weary, but don't grow weary in doing good. Keep going. Keep trying to live for Jesus. And then he sort of puts this into perspective where he says, therefore, as we have the opportunity, right now, therefore, right now, when God puts things right in front of you, let us do good to all people, especially those who belong to the family of God. Paul is challenging us that each day that you have at least an opportunity to be able to do good to someone, to show God's love and goodness to someone. Maybe it's someone who's outside of the family of God, or maybe it's someone inside. But Paul says Even though we are tired and weary and overwhelmed, keep going. Keep going. And when opportunity presents itself each day, do good to that person. Show goodness to those people, whether they're inside the church or outside the church. I think this is very pertinent today as well because we have returned back on site, and as we look around at all of our ministry areas, there are a lot of people who were serving in all kinds of different roles that for various reasons are unable to. And so we have huge gaps in ways to demonstrate God's goodness to others within the church. So we are in desperate need of people to do sound and data, people to do Bible readers, welcomers, to provide morning tea, to do coffee, people who can put their hands up to be community group leaders or kids church leaders. The list goes on and on. But because of COVID, we've gone from a large group of amazing volunteers who serve each other and show that goodness to each other to a very small pool of people who are extending themselves a lot to take these verses seriously, which is awesome. But now there is an opportunity for you to do good. So whether that's inside the church and taking up one of these volunteer roles, sticking up your hand, saying, yeah, I would love to do good to those around me in my church community, please come and talk to us. We'd love for you to get to serve in those ways, and we'd love to train you and equip you and help you to do that. That would be an awesome way to live this verse out. But the greater challenge is that every day God brings someone into your life that you can show his goodness to. So, who are you going to do that with today? See you later.